Welcome back. This is K24 this morning. Look at the big stories of the day. As always, keep your tweets coming in. You can get us at K24 TV. You can also SMS us. The line is 21222. Ogola Mavali, Kenyans have two options: demonstrate our way to change or riot our way to change. This beautiful nation means more to us than just rhetoric. That's a tweet you can get right there. Bob Wino, which made me not pay NHIF. What are my risks or benefits? So he's not going to pay NHIF because he's seeing such scandals and he's saying his money is just going to waste. Let him keep it and pay cash when he goes to hospital.
He needs to try that theory when he's sick and he goes to hospital and he needs to pay. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. And NHIF is literally saving lives. Right. They're paying bills for people even in India. They're sorting out pregnant moms. Cancer is treatable via NHIF. If you go to most accredited hospitals, you'll be given healthcare. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
This one is for Bone, for Bobo, you know. So probably he needs to register for his NHIF.
Let me tell you, anyone who tells you not to register for NHIF is lying for you.
Biriaman, good morning to you guys. County 001 tuned in, loving the discussion going on right there. Lakini corruption ni shida kubwa. Very many A's on that kubwa right there. Keep them coming in at K24 TV. Let's move on now to matters politics. The Standard's front page. Raila new powers upset Jubilee MPs. Politicians accuse a former Prime Minister of usurping power after he ordered KPA to stop dredging at Likoni Channel, and they urged public servants to ignore the directive even if put in writing. Madera MP Rigathi Gachagua said, "We are asking public servants to ignore such orders even if he puts it in writing. You will only have yourselves to blame if you follow his instructions." On the other hand, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, he can express his opinion as AU envoy since he holds no position in government. I will take it that he was expressing his opinion. Either way, as you look at this, Mark, let's bring this in, because as he said this, the reason he was saying that the dredging should stop is because of the recovery process that's happening right there for the cars and the body of the ferry accident at this particular point in time. A political angle has been found in this, and now talking about Raila's new powers. Go.
Well, you can only say he has powers if the civil service acts,
if they do stop.
If they do stop. So listen, I can order the police to clear the highway after this. Even Mark Bichachi saying things is very easy. By the way, you just wake up and you say, by the police, I order you, I am going to be using the highway, please clear. Will they do it? No. So the question is not what Raila said. The question is, will civil service obey? But also let's consider this issue of dredging versus trying to recover the body. Me, I'll try to tell you. The truth of the matter is there were 7 kids who were stuck in a cave in the Philippines. And it took them nearly half a month to find them in caves. There was no pressure, there was no salty water, there was no dredging, there was no whatever. Diving into the sea to take care, to extract things is not something that is easy. And I don't know why Kenyans are acting like, oh my goodness, the Navy is incompetent. Why weren't they saying that the Americans and the other people who are in the Philippines were incompetent? And this is something that Kenyans must address. Leave the diving team out of this. You can say KFS failed and the ferry services did fail. That's why the CEO has resigned. But this diving issue, I don't know when we became professionals at diving. I don't know why everyone has an opinion on the issue. Please let the professionals deal with it. When it's recovered, it will be recovered. And by the way, chances may be that it will be not. Because at those depths, even entire ships have sunk and people have not found them. So let's stop pretending over here that Kenya has more powers and Malaysia Air disappeared and we've not seen a piece of it for the last 2 to 4, 5, 6 years. So let's stop putting pressure where it's not due. Where the pressure should be due, has that ferry changed? Is that ferry safer? Is that ferry going to protect Kenyan lives moving forward? That's where the conversation should be. And the conversation, I don't know why we're talking about dredging and stuff like that. Because guess what? We are not recovering a live body. I feel sorry. I am sad for the loss. But Kenya really needs to focus its eyes where it's due. I don't understand what these parliamentarians are talking about. Why are you talking about Raila? Raila is a free human being. He can say whatever.
And that's what I bring Ruth in on this as well.
Technically, I'm going to finish. Technically, basically as a citizen and as a taxpayer, he also has a right to ask government to do what he wants.
Yeah.
So that's the wrong thing. These parliamentarians should be telling us, is that ferry safe? How come they're reacting to Raila Odinga and not reacting to a ferry where if you board on it, it stays like this?
Ruth, let me bring in on this because some people are saying that the reason Honorable Gachagua is talking the way he is because the handshake has since changed things. And he might not be surprised if indeed dredging does stop for a couple of days because of the utterances that have been made. It might not be a coincidence.
You know, we cannot wish away the power dynamics that the handshake introduced in this country, and the fact that it has also thrown a lot of leaders into confusion in terms of many of them not understanding what was the deal, how are these two individuals operating, how is it that in a lot of instances we have seen Raila Odinga literally representing the president in an official capacity in some of the, you know, state functions and some very serious engagements that the president should have attended, and having Raila representing him there. So I think that, as we have seen in the past, these two gentlemen seem to be sharing enjoying some form of cordial friendship that many of us might not understand. Because the one thing I'd like to say is that I don't think Raila would wake up and decide, you know, now I'm going to Mombasa and I'm going to issue an order. We do not know we do not know the direction of where this order was coming from in the first place. It could have actually come from the president himself, because we have not seen the president pronounce himself on this particular order that Raila Odinga issued. So, and then again, over and above looking at it from the point of view of what powers does Raila have to give this particular order, let us not forget that Raila Odinga as a man, as an individual, his background, his career background is actually in engineering. And for a long time he had been, you know, the Minister for Transport in this country. So he might actually have one or two things that could make sense as regards this particular body retrieval process. And his opinion could actually be based from a professional point of view, in terms of just like the Swedish diver who came and said, okay, this is what I think about the body recovery process. This is how much time I think it will take. This is what I think I will need to be able to retrieve these bodies. And then he gets there and realizes that, you know, on the ground things are different. So I think Raila could also just be issuing the same rather advisory or order from a professional point of view, in terms of, I am an engineer, I have been in the transport ministry for a while, and during my time and my tenure as a minister for transport, I actually came up with some revolutionary ideas in the transport system of this country that have changed the way, you know, things are done in this country. And he could be having one or two ideas, and maybe that could just have been, you know, his professional opinion. And I mean, no one is bound to obey the orders that Raila gave. I mean, if
Mula, let me bring you in this as well. Handshake or not, AU envoy or not, some people are looking at this in the sense that, okay, fine, the reason he said this wasn't because he wanted a rally to be done there. There are two bodies that haven't been recovered. So can we put the politics aside? If you were saying this because we just want the bodies recovered, why is Honorable Gachagua politicking such a situation? Can't he let the bodies be retrieved first of all, then we get back to the politics of the day?
There are three different things here. Number one, if I'm not wrong, the chairman of the Kenya Coast Hotels Association, Mr. Mohamed Hersi, has been on the front line campaigning against the ongoing dredging of Diani, because it is completely destroying marine life in that area. It is destroying that the entire coral stretch that we have, and that will completely destroy the marine life. In fact, even in June this year, residents of Kwale went to court to stop that ongoing process, because it has, in fact, that process has been ongoing without even having undertaken an environmental impact assessment, which is tragic, and it is being pushed by the current CS Transport Macharia. Number two, the way Raila, as you are indicating, has really a right to speak about anything in this country, because he's a citizen like any of us. But the minute he brings it out as if he's giving directives and instructions to public servants, then now that begins to bring confusion. And you may be aware that there's been a lot of confusion in government since the handshake, because it is not clear exactly. Sometimes even you have seen CSs being asked to go and brief Raila. Then it is difficult to know exactly they are briefing him as what, as who, because there is no constitutional or legal placement in terms of what role he plays in government. But number three, when I listen to people like Gachagua, and particularly I want to pick out a fella called Maina Kamanda. He was chairman of the Transport Committee in Parliament. He was the chairman when 1.8 billion shillings of money meant for Kenya ferry services was stolen. He has not come to us because he keeps going to churches and telling us very funny things about things that don't exist. But he has not come to us to tell us what he did, because we were talking earlier about the failure of Parliament in oversight. He has not come to us and tell us how that money was lost under his watch, or whether he was a beneficiary of the 1.8 billion shillings that was meant to buy and revamp ferries so that we can be safer. Those are the people I would expect the DPP to be moving with ultrasonic speed to begin to prosecute, because these are the people who have been facilitating and promulgating corruption in this country. So Parliament, before Gachagua starts frothing in his mouth about nothing, let him tell us what Parliament has done. Even if it does not sit in that transport committee as a sitting member and an elected member of Parliament, he should be telling us what Parliament has been doing and is doing to ensure that no other single life or even no other truck of unga dives into the ocean, as we saw the other day. This idea of people talking too much and escaping from responsibility, we must come to an end of that kind of a culture.
And even as we wait to see if indeed the dredging will stop, that will be another angle as far as the news cycle is concerned. Let's move on to cash and the church. The Catholic Church saying that they shall not accept cash donations. If you feel so inclined to offer a donation, you could write a check or do it electronically, because they want to play their part as far as graft is concerned. Ruth, let me start with you on this one, because we have seen it time and time again, and the church had been accused to be the one point where people would go and launder their money, and they were with open arms every single day. Whoever comes to their pews, you bring your money, we shall take it. And they said they won't judge. That was their position up until this weekend. Is this a way to go to fight corruption? Is there another angle that has been that we are missing on this particular issue?
Jeff, I had an interesting run-in with a pastor on social media, and I think Mark Bichachi was a witness to that.
And money was a problem.
Money was the problem. One of the dailies had posted on their social media account that you know, one of the leaders had given an advisory that, you know, the church should not be a conduit for cleaning money, laundered money, you know. And this pastor, he's well known to me, a personal friend on Facebook, literally went there and commented and said, "Is it your money? Is it your money that is being laundered? Is it your money that has been stolen?" And even if, I mean, he said, and even if it was stolen, even if it is stolen money, is it your money that was stolen? You know? And in fact, he went on and praised the leaders who are donating to the churches. So I took a screenshot and posted it and said, this is just a reminder that gentleman so-and-so is actually a man of God. He came and said, yes, I'm a man of God, and our work as the church is to pray for, is to pray for sinners and you know, pray for thieves and convert them to Christ. You know, accept their money, pray for them, and lead them to Christ. It is a very unfortunate position that the church has found itself in the last few days. And for me, when the Catholic Church gave this directive, the one thing that I said was that it is a bit too little, too late. If this directive came right in the process of the demonetization process, I would have said, well done, church. Because we have, for a long time, understood the church to be the protectors or the guards of morality within a nation. That the church has, for a long time, remained that one place that we can say that, you know, if the church is functioning in a society, then at least we know we are headed in the right direction. But when the church begins to accept donations, allow the pulpit to be a place that is desecrated, and have all manner of politicking done at the pulpits, all manner of fighting within the church, and even having bishops issuing press statements and saying, you know, we also want a share of this money that we do not know where the money has come from. We do not know the source of this particular money. And then again, if truly the aim of these donations of money was towards development, why not channel this money towards fighting food insecurity in places where people are literally dying of hunger? Why not channel this money to provide sanitary towels to girls across the country who are issuing a press statement the other day saying, look, we miss days out of school because we do not have sanitary towels? Why not channel this money that you are donating to churches that have already been established to begin with Most of the churches where these politicians go to issue money are churches that already have structures that were built hundreds and hundreds of years ago, churches that can stand by themselves, churches that have even built schools, built hospitals. Why not channel this money to where it is actually needed? And then again, we know how corruption works within the church. What happens is you come for an arambe, a church says, oh, we want to build a bigger structure. You come for an arambe, you donate your 1.2 million shillings, 1.5 million shillings, sometimes even 10 million shillings towards the building of the church. And then what do? You agree with the church that when the tenders come out for building these particular churches, you're the one to be awarded that particular tender. So basically the church has been a conduit for money laundering. And I would laud the efforts of the Catholic Church, because we saw very ugly incidents in Muranga the other day when politicians were fighting right in front of the church. So I would laud the move by the Catholic Church. However, I still say it's a bit too little, too late. But again, it is not too late, because we are getting into the politicking season where politicians will be going before churches, dancing and raising their hands before God, dedicating themselves to God, some of them being rebaptized for the 6th time, you know, in the name of cleaning their money. So this is a good move, and other churches should join in the move. But then again, it shouldn't be a 6-month effort, because I saw they said this is going to be a 6-month campaign. You know, after the 6 months, what next? You know, we need to see the African. We need to see the African Nineveh Church. You know, we need to see those Luongmogi joining in the fight.
Let me bring in on this because the EACC is loading the Catholic Church on their particular move. But you also look at it from the point of, if you decide to have 1 million shillings in cash in your house right now, that's not illegal.
No, it is not illegal, actually.
So if you decide to take 500,000 of that to a church, how has that become a problem from a legal standpoint?
It is not really a legal issue here. It is more of a moral issue. Number one, I have been very categorical on this. This is a laudable move, but it is too little, too late, because the church long lost its moral standing in this society. The moral filth we are entertaining and enjoying today as a country can primarily be drawn back to the church. Because we have created, especially these latter-day gospel churches, that are too excited about materialism, whereby when daddy has a birthday, he collects money from the congregation. But when you fall sick and you need to go to Kenyatta or India for treatment, daddy prays for you. What kind of nonsense is going on in the church? We must actually now call out this dishonesty that is being perpetuated by the church, and by continuing to blindfold people from not being able to see the realities behind the schemes. Number two, when we talk about this madness that we have witnessed in the last 6-7 years about Harambes, one, it can be pointed back to a particular grouping of politicians who have continued to escape responsibility over Kenyans. I wish they could be holding these meetings every weekend and sit even with the ward administrator and tell you what, this financial year, we have allocated 400 million shillings to this particular ward. We want to be able to see that this money has built this number of classrooms, it has built this number of roads, it has built this number of electricity poles, and those kinds of things. But we are not seeing that. This money that has been going to churches has created zero impact in this economy. Tell me what the money that has gone to the central churches, the central province churches in the last 7 years. What economic impact has that created in that region? It has not created any jobs. It has not helped anybody with medication. It has not taken any children to school. So it is nonsense. These are people who are actually taking stolen public money to churches to clean themselves up, while actually running away from the real responsibility as to why they are elected. So this is a move that needs to be adopted by all churches so that citizens can begin to demand accountability. I wish these fundraisers were even going to schools, so that these sad cases we see every January. Wait, January is just coming around the corner. We are going to have, out of the 800,000 or 1 million kids who are sitting for KCPE, we are going to have close to 300,000 who cannot even afford 20,000 shillings to go to the local village school to pursue their secondary education. Those are the things we need to be discussing. But this idea of these guys blinding us and telling us, oh, you know, we have bees to konanyuki na kuna wengine inzi. I mean, what kind of nonsense are we subjecting ourselves to as a country?
Let me bring you in on this. The Catholic Church has pronounced themselves as far as the donation is concerned. Next stop, NCCK, get all of the major players in terms of religion to come in and say, okay, fine, we want a paper trail to how this is happening. If you're going to bring cash, please, thanks, but no thanks.
I don't know why we keep calling this institution a church. I don't understand.
They cease to exist as churches?
Let me tell you why. How can you believe in a God that requires stolen money to run his business? Which God is that?
They'd also say they can't judge, they're not too
Yeah.
sure.
No,
But
no,
they
no,
also
You
no,
brought your
Me,
money.
My question
I
is...
can't say Mark is a thief or not. He just brought 50,000.
My question
But
is
they
very
also said they
simple.
forgive thieves and lead
Who
them
is
to
this
Christ?
God that cannot build his own church? No, seriously. That you need someone in a chopper to come from Nairobi to run your church. So which God are you worshipping? The God of the chopper or the God of heaven? Because if your God is broke, my friend, how is he going to save you? Which God is this? No, because I don't understand Kenyans. Oh, tutafurahi sana umekuja, umeleta maendeleo because you know you are the bee of this world. You know the rest of us are flies. Come on. The first problem is what is the definition of church in this country? Yeah. And secondly, what is this we are building called a church? Yes. Yani you think God sits in heaven and what he needs most is a building where people meet once a week. Yeah. That is his biggest priority on earth. Forget the poor people who are dying of hunger, kids who cannot afford school fees. No. Let us contribute for a building that stays empty the whole week, and let a homeless person try to get near its gate. Let him try. So the question here is, what is the church? Because I can dare tell you, all these kiosks, as Nganga calls them, all these kiosks need to shut down because they are kiosks. Because they are kiosks. You are running a business. And I'm not ashamed. Let any bishop come challenge me that they're not running a business. Because
across the board?
Yes.
Across the board.
Yes, that's the truth. Let me ask you a question. Which kind of church? The fact that they have to do an edict to say that, listen, let's not be a conduit for corruption. That is something. That's the conversation the church has to have. You understand? It's like me having a conversation about, okay, let me feed my children. I think I should start feeding my children.
You haven't
what nonsense is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You understand? As Ruth Amboga has said, listen, it is very clear how this corruption works. Okay? You go to a pastor, right? You tell him, listen, I will give you even 50 million. But when you start this project, the cement is mine, the nails are mine. It's called money laundering. Stop pretending. Listen, the churches that have been built, most of them in recent times, big churches, have been built as places for laundering money. This is a fact that is known. So these pastors who, you know, mommy, daddy, oh, we love you, let us queue. Forget, you don't hold placards for your wife. You want to hold placards for someone else's wife saying, oh, you're the best mom, or it is your birthday. That is mind washing. And that, my friend, is not my God, not my church. You can keep it.
Okay, we'll have to move because of time. We'll have to move very quickly.
Yes, allow me to add this, that in as much as the Catholic Church is saying that, you know, now the new regulations are that we will only accept money that can be trailed, you know, paper trail of this money. We'll only accept money, from checks. Transfer. I mean, in the past, we've seen people launder money through checks. If you study money laundering as a unit, as a course, I've studied it in law school. One of the biggest enablers of money laundering in this country is banks. So you will still have checks that have been laundered, and you know, it is not, we really need to check the measures and steps that we are putting in.
Okay, okay. Because of time, we have 2 minutes left. As always, it's a Monday, so our good, bad or ugly, we shall pick one for the week. Bwana Mark, let's start with you. Are we going back to the churches?
Well, the church has been ugly for a while, so it can't be for the week.
Okay, fine.
That's my ugly for a few years, right? The good. I think the good thing in this country is, actually don't know. The good thing in this country, by the way, is that I saw a newspaper article from Ghana that lauded our efforts on the fight against corruption, that said that they wish that their president was doing what is happening in Kenya. And I think that's a very good thing. Okay. The bad thing is that the ferry is not safe still. That's my bad thing. My bad thing is that two people lost their lives, but what makes it even worse is a week later, there's been no adjustment to that ferry to make it safer. Okay. The ugly is the church and its reaction post receiving corruption money.
Okay. Ruth, your good, bad or ugly for the week?
You know, the good is that there's this Swahili saying that says, siku ya nyani kukufa miti yote huteleza. So when you see a lot of corruption scandals coming out, when you see so much being exposed right now, that is literally siku ya nyani kukufa coming. That literally now everyone seems to be on the lookout. I think we shouldn't be worried a lot by the fact that there is so much corruption scandals coming out. We should actually appreciate the fact that now it is coming out to the light. We would rather live the reality that it is happening than pretend, you know, it is not happening, have our media silent on the evil that is going on. So the good part of it is that indeed it is happening and it is coming out. And now what needs to happen, what needs to follow is, can we have agencies, can we have all factors, can we have parliament, to rally behind it and ensure that, you know, as it is coming out, it is dealt with and addressed and people convicted and money recovered. The ugly is, the good and ugly is also that, you know, Kenya is doing very well in the athletics, and for me, I was, the ugly side for me was the fact that I realized, you know, we were promised a good number of stadiums that we never saw. So when I kept watching the IAAF, I mean championships,
World Championship,
when I kept watching them, I just kept imagining if only we had just one.
Don't worry, they had said that they're not going to do 8, they're actually going to do 11.
11,
so hold on for
just
that
to make it better.
Yes, so let us see. Mr. Mulwa, your good bad or ugly, very quickly.
My ugliest is actually that there are members of parliament who are opposed to very punitive measures being proposed in the anti-corruption bill 2019, and there are members of parliament who are opposed to stiffer penalties to culprits of corruption because they know they are beneficiaries of corruption. That's actually what gives them life, to blind their eyes from doing what is right to the public. My best is usually, I think Kenyans are really resilient, and my best is that at the moment, actually, last Thursday, by last Thursday, the old 1,000 shillings note was already a TBT. Right. Yes, so...
Okay, in fact, even as we wind up the show, if you're just joining us, because Mark
money has been poor.
No, Mark has been early for the past 2 weeks. So let me give him.
You're refunding me.
No, I'm not refunding you. I'm just saying if you're just joining us.
Ambogo has now accepted.
That is how corruption.
This is how the church does.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming this morning. It has been poured.
Money has returned
to its rightful owner,
to the safe hands.
Of course, this has been the News Super Review this morning. As always, we'd love your feedback on what we discussed here as well at K24 TV. Mark Bichachi, Ruth Ambogo, Ben Wula, thank you so much for making time this morning. We take a short break. We're back on the other side. We get interactive. This is K24 This Morning.